Alright, another Nin game for the ages. Went back to playing this for a bit because I've determined that the Azami deck sucks. Or at least, it sucks enough that I don't want to play it anymore. It's basically like a really, really bad version of Nin with less utility and a bunch of dorky wizards in place of counters. It's clearly worse. So I've gone back to this deck, and I just had an insane game. Here we go. I'm going second. And it's very funny, actually. This game would have unfolded in a totally different manner, but this is a great example of how one single mistake just cascades into making everything a hell of a lot harder than it needs to be. The mistake I make actually happens on the second turn of the game. I'm just not paying attention. So I have a great draw, 2-land, acceleration, pretty much everything I need, and future sight against blue-red, which is a super long-term bomb. So I play polluted delta. On his turn, he plays another land, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm going to hope to draw at least one more land here to really get set up. So I'm not going to sack my polluted delta. And I don't draw a land, and just without even thinking, I play Sulphur Falls. The moment I play it, I'm like, oh my god, what a horrible play that was. Obviously, it comes into play tapped. I can't play the Felwar Stone. I'm not going to be able to counterflux next turn or possibly even rewind the turn afterward. This one play error just cascades into a whole horrendous disaster, which you'll see. So on his start turn, he plays Trinket Mage, gets Mana Crypt, my favorite play. But he plays Tectonic Edge, so he doesn't have 2 blue, which is great. At least I draw a third land there to save my life a little bit. But yeah, had I played the land, I would have had a rewind here, and I could have rewound his Mana Crypt from a mana-screwed opponent, which would have totally changed the game. Completely. Instead, I'm forced to do this, and I screw this up too. I'm a moron. I should have played these in reverse order, obviously. Play the Chalice first, play Felwar Stone, enough mana to cast Nin. And having Nin in play right now would be very, very powerful as well. Totally would change what he has to do here. So he plays this Tandem Lookout guy. Kind of interesting creature. And I do not want him drawing cards. So I just End of the Royal to slow him down. Basically planning on playing Nin next turn and then rewinding whatever he does. Or rewinding that Soulbound guy. I'm still feeling pretty good, actually. Plays another Dork. So I play Nin sitting on my rewind. He draws a Strip Mine. And this was... oh, man. In my head, I'm looking at his mana, thinking, okay, he didn't use a Strip Mine. Now, what does that mean? It means he needs it for mana. Now, the question is, does he need it for mana because he wants to copy spells? Or he wants to pay for Niv Mizzet? Or did he leave it untapped because he has Negate in his hand? If he's got Negate, obviously, I can't let this thing resolve. So I could counterflux it. And he can't counter back, and it's gone from the game. And then I can take over the game with Nin. Or I can get greedy and play Rewind. And hope that he doesn't have Negate. Because I'd like to get the Rewind out of my hand right now. Just because it's bigger. So think for a long time about this. You can see time on the clock. I burn like 30 seconds thinking about it. And I eventually think, okay, I don't think he has Negate. I'm going to Rewind. Rewind. Negate. Nothing worse than being right. So he negates it. Now I have Chandra on the board. Total nightmare against my deck, obviously. Kills Nin. And I get beat in the face here. So I think for a little bit about playing Lotus, but I needed to draw, I guess, another mana. I'd be 1 mana short. It wouldn't really do me any good. So I'm just figure, you know what, I'll just play Future Sight and hope he doesn't draw Island to play his big guy. Worst case scenario, I can Snapcaster Mage and bounce this guy, counter it on the way back out. And maybe I'll get lucky off Future Sight. Just get a Felwar Stone, so I'm doing nothing. So I figure he's going to play his Soulbound guy if he doesn't draw an island here. And he plays his Soulbound guy. Comes in for 4. Ramps up Chandra to, what the hell is it at, 5 now? Smashes my Felwar Stone and destroys my land with Strip Mine. So I lose 2 mana. This shuts off the Opal. I'm down to 3 against this board. And even though I have Future Sight, oh, and he plays Boilerworks too, so this thing's going to come online next turn. Things are looking horrible right now. So at least I draw an island. I draw a Tezzeret I can't play because I don't have 5. So I think about just playing the Mind Stone and sitting on counterflux mana. But then I realized that with this Dork in play, he's going to be drawing 2 extra cards a turn. I mean, there's almost nothing I can do at this point. You can see he can cast Niv Mizzet, draw a million cards, copy his counter spells, do whatever the hell he wants to. I am really grasping at straws. Plus this thing's ramping up. It's already at 7. He sends in his team, and I just have to go for broke here, hoping that he doesn't have a counter. He appears not to. I'm blocking, kill that guy. He draws another card, but at least that thing's out of the game. And I put flashback on the end of the Royal, planning on bouncing this guy at the end of his turn and fluxing it. Then he casts time warp. Fuck. Oh, bad to worse. So this thing's going to tick up to 8. I'm going to take 4 more damage and be almost dead. So in just in response, I bounce it now to keep it down and to slow him down. At least he can recast it. So he could cast his commander here. Instead he just plays Chandra again. Hits me for 4 more damage. I drop to 15. Chandra's already at 7 again. I get a strip mine. And then interestingly enough I have Mystical Tutor. So this opens up a lot of questions. Like, first of all, obviously I have Rolling Earthquake in my deck. And this is one of the primary reasons why red-blue is better than mono-blue. Because of situations like this and the existence of Rolling Earthquake and its ability to kill planeswalkers. So I'm thinking here about tutoring and just Rolling Earthquake immediately for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or for 4. Actually, I can't do it for 4. I can only do it for 3 because this thing's shut off. So I decide to strip mine first. And he's got a blue and a red. I attack him. And he Mystical Tutors for Force of Will. So at this point, I decide that I am going to slow play and try to get him to walk that Force of Will into counterflux. So I just play my Mind Stone, and I wait. Oh, that's right, he's got an Ancestral Visions ticking here as well. Figuring it doesn't really matter if Chandra's at 8 or at 7 if I'm planning on using an Earthquake. So he hits me. So here I am at 10. My opponent I know has Force of Will in hand. And Chandra at 8 counters and I'm at 10. How do you win this game? End of turn. Mystical Tutor for Rolling Earthquake. Untap. Interestingly enough, there's Force of Will on top, which is kind of cool. Quake for 2. He forces and thinks about copying, and obviously he can't. So I counterflux. I don't really remember Force of Will being on top, actually. I'm not sure if that's really what was there. But we'll see. If it's just bugging out. I feel like this is memory lapse or something. So I'm wondering what he's going to do on this turn. I figure... Oh, he plays... Yeah, you know what? This was not Force of Will. This was Flame Tongue Kavu. Oh, buggy replays. So, yeah, he throws out... He runs Niv Mizzet out into... And I've got Flame Tongue Kavu just sitting on top of my deck. Yeah, it's going to bug out now. I'm going to tap mana for a Flame Tongue Kavu. Crap. Well, anyway, I Flame Tongue Kavu and kill his Niv Mizzet. He obviously... has to, and it's doubly stupid for him to cast Niv Mizzet because I have no targets for Flame Tongue Kavu, and he sees it on top of my deck. And he casts his creature anyway, so I'm able to splat it. Then he uses Chandra to slow down Flame Tongue Kavu. He shrinks it by 2. I get Memory Lapse on top of my deck. He decides not to do anything. He gets up to 8 mana. And replays Niv Mizzet. I cast Tezzeret, and I use Tezzeret to fetch. That's right. What did I do? Oh yeah, there's just an amazing play. Oh, I wish I could remember. Okay, so I played the Lotus, and I have a turn where basically, after I draw the Memory Lapse, it's now in my hand. There's Amnesia on top of my deck. I have 2 options. He has Niv Mizzet in play, and it will kill me on the next turn. or take me down almost nothing. I have two choices. I can either play, I have a Lotus, I use a Sculpting Steel off the top from Future Sight to copy the Lotus, so I have tons of mana, and I have three, and then there's a Bribery on top of my deck, so I can cast Bribery on him and Amnesia him. He has 3 cards in his hand, and I know that they're all spells. Or, so that's the gambling play, because if he doesn't have a way, like Niv Mizzet's in play, so if he doesn't have any way to kill Niv Mizzet or bounce it, then I probably just die to the Niv Mizzet attack. In fact, I will, because I'm at 5, and he can just deal the damage from drawing a card and then hit me for 4 with the dragon and kill me. The other option is to cast Tezzeret, pay 3 mana, or pay 3 loyalty to go get Shackles and grab Niv Mizzet to steal him. He can ping me and redirect to Tezzeret after that to kill it, so that would shut that down. But ultimately, I decided to go with the cast Tezzeret, untap my 2 Lotuses, cast Bribery off the top, and gamble. And lo and behold, as I expected, he has Phyrexian Metamorph in his deck. So I put Metamorph out, it kills Niv Mizzet and shuts it off for a long time. And then he ticks Tezzeret up, I think, up to 6 or 7. And on my turn, I use Tezzeret for all 4 of his counters to put out Soldevi Simulacrum, or Solemn Simulacrum. And that gives me another creature that can threaten to knock Chandra back down. And I put out Nin. And on his turn, he makes the mistake of shooting Soldevi. I draw a card, I untap, and on his next turn he casts some spell. I don't really remember what it was. He casts some fairly... Oh, that's right. He taps nearly out to cast a Muldrifter. Like, not evoking, but just casting a Muldrifter. And I activate Nin the Pain Artist and draw 9 cards in response. And I'm not able to cast the Muldrifter, but I do draw Hinder and Forbid and Cyclonic Rift. And I've got like 3 Lotuses in play at that turn, so I just untap it and Cyclonic Rift his whole board. I counterspell the next 3 things he does and lock the game up and win. But just an amazing comeback. It's too bad you didn't get to see the turn, though, with the Bribery, because I think the Bribery Amnesia turn was just a perfect example of really thinking ahead and playing to win instead of playing not to lose and getting rewarded for it. And I hate Magic the Gathering online buggy replays. It really sucks to see such an awesome game get spoiled by that. Oh well. Hope you liked it.